I've got some news from the insurance industry. Contessa Brewer joins us at the table this morning with more. What's going on?
Morning, guys. Well, we can exclusively report this morning USAA is set to return $3.7 billion to its policyholders. 14.2 million of them, mostly service members, veterans, and their families. USAA is an association, and so its customers are also its shareholders. This is the largest payback in the company's 103-year history. And that's in spite of the considerable exposure USAA had to the California wildfires. CEO Juan Andrade talked with us exclusively about the historic reward to customers.
Some of it is the way we are doing our risk management within the company, the way we are handling our claims, the way that our members are participating in loss mitigation programs with us, whether it's on, water flow leakage valves or electronic device that we can put in your house to detect surges, those kinds of things. All of that helps at the end of the day.
Dividends are common in life insurance, and this year has been a doozy. Northwestern Mutual issued a record dividend to its policyholders of $8.2 billion, and it says it's the largest ever across the industry. It announced an even bigger payout for next year, $9.2 billion. And this year, Mass Mutual and New York Life also issued the largest dividends in their company's histories, $2.5 billion each. But look, the rebates and the refunds are less common and they're more modest in property and auto because there's a lot of volatility and risk. We did see major rebates, of course, during COVID when people stopped driving. But last month, Progressive announced $1 billion in refund credits to its Florida customers for the last 3 years. That was mandated as part of the state's insurance reforms that reduced litigation costs and stabilized that insurance market here. But this is really notable to see it going back this big of a dividend in property and auto.
So one of the questions, I think, is what does it mean for the broader property insurance industry at this point?
I think you're going to see efficiencies in operating costs driven in large part because of technology and AI is coming into play. It's helping with claims processing and things like that. But Juan Andrade told me the big three things keeping him up at night are still the costs of lawsuits. They're rampant across the United States. The severity and the frequency of storms. You get hailstorms that produce an amazing amount of damage. Those are hard to predict. And that's where mitigation comes into play here. And also, he's looking at inflation and the cost of tariffs and what that does to the parts, labor, materials that you need to repair and replace damaged goods. All stuff that is really important. But home insurance rates have gone up 70% on average over the last 5 years. Still predicted another 8% for next year by totality and 8% the year after that. It is becoming a very big cost consideration when you're buying a home.
Yeah, the inflation that kind of worked its way through the pipe has not completely made its way through the pig in terms of the insurance companies try to recoup some of the losses that they had because they couldn't raise rates immediately when insurance put auto parts and lumber and labor and all of those things that we saw much higher prices. They had to go to each individual state regulator and ask to raise rates. That's part of what we're still playing catch up on.
That's exactly right.
Did this have anything to do with not a single hurricane made landfall of this year? That's the first time since 2015, but there was a 12-year period prior to that where we saw some of it.
That is such an interesting point because if you don't get a major landfall from a hurricane, that saves a lot of money. Yeah. Verisk just pointed out this really interesting paradox in the third quarter, which is claims had plummeted, the volume of claims, down almost 30%. I think it was 28.5%. But the costs of those claims skyrocketed. It might be one of the most expensive third quarters that they've seen in a very long time. Okay, so when you look at that, why is that? It's because people have moved to places where there is a lot of severe weather. Think about the coasts or California.
People like water.
They do. They like to live in nice places, and that's expensive.
I remember, Warren, the year that we went through the alphabet on storms. We started another alphabet, and there were some bad ones. And he was like, "Watch what happens to the profitability of insurance companies because they all are able to raise rates after something like that." President Trump was kidding the other day with Kristi Noem and said, "You cured climate change. We had no hurricanes this year." And I've actually seen guys that do an imitation of President Trump saying, got together with Mother Nature. She's a terrific person. I've known her for a long time. we were able to arrive at it's just really funny. Weird. I guess that's why it's called insurance. You just never know. It's called risk.
It's a lot about risk.